Hi, this is DT's Premiere, TD Made Simple. Like, share, subscribe. Okay, so when we're doing technical drawing, the first thing we need to do is to clean our instruments. A part of technical drawing is to keep our papers clean and tidy and neat. All right, so I start with a wet wipe. You don't have to do that if you don't have one. All right, and then I go in with a cloth to dry it so it doesn't wet my paper. But I needed to clean my ruler because it hasn't been cleaned in a long time. After that is done, I ensure that any dirt or debris has been dusted off my paper. First thing to note is that there are two units on the ruler, millimeters and inches. The first side represents millimeters, and that's the one with the increments that are small or shorter. And then the other side is inches. The increments are bigger, wider, and farther apart. For technical drawing, we will be using millimeters or centimeters, which is the smaller increments. All right, we'll be using that to establish borders around each edge of the paper. So for those persons who have their sketchbook, you'll see that you have a side that is bulging. You just put your ruler as close as possible, ensuring that 0 touches the edge of the paper, and we'll go from there. When you're born today, you'll be 0. All right, 0. And then it takes a couple months and a year for you to reach something that we call 1 year old. So it's the same thing with measurements. We always start measuring from 0. So I place my ruler at the top and I ensure that 0 is at the edge of the paper, and I mark off 1. I put a dot. As you can see, that dot is hardly visible to you, but it's highly visible to me, which means that your dot should not be big. Then you're going to draw a light line connecting both points from one edge of the paper to the other edge of the paper. This should be such a light line that we can hardly see it. All right, visible to me, not as visible to you. As I go along, you'll see the lines when I decide to change them up. We're going to do the same thing again at the bottom of the paper, starting from 0. 0 should be at the edge, and we're going up by 1. Put a dot there, move over to the other side, 0 at the edge, and 1. And the reason why we get 2 points is because we want our line to be accurate and to be 1 centimeter straight line going all the way across the paper. So we start to draw our line again from one edge to the next edge of the paper. So now we're going to repeat this on the sides, starting with my left side. 0 at the edge, 1. All right, going down. So we do it at the top, so we have to do the same thing at the bottom so we can get a straight line. I'm just going to establish the ones on my right as well before I draw those lines. 0 to 1, down, then 0 to 1 again. Then I'm going to draw a light line. If we want perfectly light line, we hold the pencil at the top, that's near the eraser, and glide the pencil point across the ruler. This time my line is going from the top border to the bottom border, or the bottom border to the top. So we're supposed to have a rectangle inside our page that is 1 centimeter away from each edge, and I'm just going to go over it and make those lines dark, or what we call outline, object line, continuous thick line in technical drawing, which all represents our dark lines that should be prominent on our paper to represent the drawing that we're trying to communicate. So we'll just quickly do that for all 4 sides. I made a little arrow right there, so I'm just erasing to fix that line. And what I don't want to see is you freehanding that little fix when both edges don't meet. You need to place that ruler there again, ensure that it's in line with the line that you have drawn, and then fix it. All right, join the line at the bottom of the page as well. So now we have our border and we want to establish our title block. This title block is going to be at the bottom of the page, 1 centimeter from the border line. So 0 on the border line, and then we go by 1. We do that to one side, so we have to do the same thing to the other side to ensure that that title block line is going to be accurately 1 centimeter. Then we're going to draw a line. This line is going to be an outline because the top of our title block should be dark. All right, within that we need some guidelines to write on, and we're going to establish that now. So from the top of my title block going down, we're going to measure 2 millimeters, which is 1 tiny stroke, 2 tiny stroke, and that's 2 millimeters. All right, so where 2 is, we put a point and we do it to one side, so we have to do it to the other side. 0 at the top of the title block, and we go down by 2. So 1 tiny stroke, 2 tiny stroke, put your point. Then we are going to do the same thing we've done before, which is to join the points, all right, or connect them. And this line is going to extend from one side of the border to the other side of the border. There should be a light line, or what we call construction line, or continuous thin line. Remember, we said if you want perfectly thin lines, hold the top of the pencil near the rubber or the eraser. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom part, which is at the border. So at the border, we put our 0 and we go by 1 tiny stroke, 2 tiny stroke, and that's 2 millimeters. Put our point there. We do it to one side, so we have to do it to the other side. 0 at the line, 2 tiny stroke, and then we join the points or connect them using a light line, continuous thin line, same thing. Now we have our guidelines, and this is what we will write in between. Let me give you a closer look. All right, so you see the 2 dark lines and the light lines in the middle. So light that you can hardly see it from a distance, but I can see it and it's visible to me. So now what we want to do is to write in between our guidelines, and this writing is going to start at the top of the guideline going to the bottom of the guideline. We don't write in between the guideline. We write from guideline to guideline. So we write our first name, last name, class, group that we're in, the topic, and the date. And that's what we'll be writing in our guidelines. So remember, what we write, the top of the letter should be touching the top of the guideline, and the bottom of the letter should be touching the bottom guideline. All right? Plain, neat letters and plain, neat numbers. And remember, for our course, we do not cross our I's in TD, which means that at the top there should be no cross, and at the bottom there should be no cross. It should just be pretty much a common L, a common letter L. That's what it's going to look like. All right, just a stick going down. So we continue the lettering process until we are finished. And the reason why I'm going so slow is because when you are practicing your lettering in technical drawing, especially for the first time, what we usually say is we draw our letters. So we take our time. All right. And for people who don't write really good, like myself, I have to ensure that I take my time and form my letters. And then I'll practice over time until I can do this at a faster pace and end up with the same results. Notice I made a mistake right there. All right. And I just highlighted that mistake, which is I drew my number and my number is not touching the top nor the bottom of the guideline. All right. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So you get a pointed eraser. All right. And we're going to erase it completely and cleanly. And as you can see, I also slightly erased my lines. That's because if I try to erase just the letter or just the number, other things are going to be erased. And if I don't erase them, it's going to be harder to fix them when just a portion is slightly erased. So I erased it completely, or that area completely, so I could fix my line back together. Ensure that your ruler is correctly aligned with the line from both ends to ensure that when you're fixing it, your line is straight. All right, voila, we're done. Thank you for watching, and comment below if you have any questions.